Hi peaches, it's Shaaba, welcome back to my channel and thank you for clicking on another video. You know what time it is, it's Monday, which means it's time to go fishing for aholes. I just did that in one breath. Can you believe? This intro is both going to change up and be exactly the same very soon in the new year. I'm quite excited for things to show you. Just you wait. But for right now, it is that weekly segment where we take a look at the subreddit, Am I the A-hole? Why? Because it's a little bit of fun. It's a little bit of juicy drama. We can also hopefully help some people out, people in similar situations, maybe the people themselves if they happen to stumble across this video, whilst also expanding our own mindsets along the way. I love it. It's the highlight of my filming week. Just before we dive in today, I just want to let you know that my second single, Little Doll Shoes, is out. You can take a look at it on all music platforms. Type in Shaaba, type in Little Doll Shoes, let me know what you think. Are you ready to dive deep into the a-holes? Let's go. Am I the arsehole for having my step-parents and half-siblings photoshopped out of some photos? You know, normally from the title you can like get a vibe. Whenever you look at these with me peaches, so you're like, yeah, I got this badge ready. I'm ready. I got it. Sometimes there are ones like this and I'm like, I really wouldn't know which badge I would equip myself with first. Like I'm some sort of cowboy with my badges in my holster like let's read on. My parents divorced when I was maybe 2. Same babes, same. I don't remember us ever being a family of 3. Not same, but fair. My dad remarried for the first time when I was 5 and divorced when I was 7. He met my stepmom D when I was 8 and married her when I was 10. I'm now 16. Okay, let's just take a moment to absorb that. OP 16. Parents divorced at 2. Dad remarried twice. And mum is also remarried. My mum met my stepdad when I was 7 and didn't introduce me to him until I was 9 and they were married 6 months later. Okay, so both step-parents have been in your life since you were 8 and 9 and they've been sort of like married like a step-parent figure in your life since around that same time. Good to know. My parents don't like each other, but they've always come together to celebrate my birthday and stuff because that's what they want to do. For years, I've asked them from time to time if I could get some photos of just the 3 of us during these moments. It's always both sides and my parents always say no to getting into a photo without their spouses. It does bother me, says OP. So 50% of couples divorce, right? That's like the last statistic I saw. I'm therefore assuming that about half of you peaches at home probably have experience of divorced parents. If you're a peach with a divorced parent, have you ever wanted a photo with you and both of your sort of like organic parents? Is that a thing? And if hypothetically you did and your parents weren't comfortable with the idea, would that bother you? Because whenever I look at these things, obviously we look at them with our own personal biases and our own life lenses. I've never wanted a photo with just my mum and my dad, even if I did. And if they said no, they didn't want to do that, I feel like I would totally understand. And I can't see a world in which that would bother me, you know? Especially considering that OP is 16. Like I can imagine maybe like young Shaaba, small Shaaba, you know, when kids don't fully understand the ideas of breakups and don't realise that actually it would be super toxic if 2 people who really don't get on to the point where they're wanting to divorce are back together, but your small child mind is just like, no, I want to have this perfect family, why can't it be? Like I could imagine a younger child, or to be honest, regardless of age, just somebody who's really wanting their parents to be together. That's when I could kind of understand the reasoning. I don't think it would be right, but I could understand why it was wanted. I'm struggling therefore to understand OP's perspective here. But let's read on. It's not that I hate my step-parents, but I don't actually have any photos of me with just my parents. Their relationship was even when they were married, and they never took photos with us as a family back then. I get that they have all of these feelings about each other, and maybe the photos are something they risk seeing, which is why they say no, but I honestly hate having everyone together and hating it, and the one thing I would like for some milestones, I can't have. Interesting. For some reason, I don't know if I'm just like too in my own head about this with my own experience. I'm really struggling to understand why OP wants it, especially if their relationship has always been really bad. There's never been family photos. We don't know what went down in that relationship. Maybe we're going to read on and find out, but if 2 people are really uncomfortable with each other and they've created new families and they're both coming together, like I think it's really kind that the 2 families are able to coexist and cohabitate in a space with you to celebrate your milestones. I just don't understand why OP would be pushing and wanting this fake family photo, right, of this composition that never existed in a happy state. Like I've graduated from my undergrad degree, my master's and my PhD. Both sets of my parents and families, respective families, were there for all of those moments. For my engagement, which was a surprise, but like Jamie proposed and he very naughty very, very well done. Invited both sets of my family. That was actually the first time that they've coexisted in one space. I've wanted that to happen for birthdays for a while, just because I hate the idea of like having a main party and not being able to invite all of my loved ones without having to have this feeling of like choosing, you know? But for one reason or another, one side or the other felt too uncomfortable. And that's totally fine, like I respect their wishes, but the proposal was the first time I had both my mum and my dad and respective families under one roof to celebrate something that was really important to me. Jamie was able to organise it in a way that I've never been able to, and that was really special to me. And I did ask for a photo then, but the photo was everyone. I wanted all of my loved ones there in that photo, including my siblings, because I've never seen like all of my siblings in me in a photo before, and I really cherish the fact that we have those photos. The larger group photos are my mum and my mum's family, my dad and my dad's family, Jamie and his family. We even had a little Benji, family dog. It's such a cute photo. I love it a lot. But I could never imagine being like, oh yes, mum specifically, dad specifically, you two only be in this photo with me. There have been times where I've wanted photos with just mum or my dad individually, like my graduation. When I graduated from my PhD, I was like, oh, this is a big deal. When I got married, I wanted photos with just my mum and just my dad. And so, you know, the little photos during the graduation with a little I did all of that with my mum and with my dad. And don't think I would ever want that together. It wouldn't feel right. It would feel uncomfortable. They would feel uncomfortable. And why would I want to fabricate a narrative that we are together? It's confusing to me. I've dug into this a lot. Let's read to the end and yeah, we'll see. My stepmom also has a huge problem with it, and she told me once that it was disrespectful to leave her out because she's just as much my parent as my mum and dad. Oh, that's not right. A step-parent can come in. They can have boundaries as the leader, co-leader of a household, but they can't ever try and say, I am just important to you. As your other parents, you don't get to determine that step-parent. It's up to the child to decide how much they want to involve you as a parent. She told me that I wouldn't like it if they left me out of a photo with my siblings, and I said I wouldn't mind because it would be two parents and their shared kids. She said that's not how it works, and I'm her kid just like she's my parent. I can kind of understand like the kindness in what she's saying, you know, like I wouldn't leave you out of a family photo, but at the same time, that happens all the time, especially if OP's parents don't get on. I'm sure there are many a time where OP is with one family and not the other. You're telling me the other people just refuse to have a photo at Christmas because OP's spending it with mum, so dad can't take photos with the kids. Like dad, stepmom and kids don't have family photos. It's fine. It's fine. Stop putting so much pressure on these photos, family. Wow. So I have a friend who's trying to perfect their Photoshop skills, and he asked if I would like him to take some of the photos I have of my families and get some photos where it's just me and my parents. He said I keep the originals too. I said yes, and I sent him photos from June when I won an award and everyone was there, and it was insisted that I couldn't get a photo with my mum and my dad. I thought it was great actually. He did an awesome job and he was glad to have the practice. My dad was in my room whilst I was at school on Monday. Ooh, that's a bit of a red flag as well. Like, what you doing? What you doing snooping? And he was on my laptop. Whoa, major snooping. And he saw the photos. He called my mum to tell her, then told my stepmom whilst my mum told my stepdad, and they were pissed as hell about it. All four think that I was disrespectful and think that I was cruel to the families that I'm a part of. I was told that my siblings would be hurt and that my step-parents are feeling disrespected and underappreciated. Am I the asshole? Alright, I feel quite strong with this conviction, but I feel like it's controversial. I have to, however, just be honest with my viewpoints and with how I feel, and so I'm gonna say that everybody sucks here. The dad should not have been snooping. When snooping, the dad shouldn't have gone off and told everybody. I think that's not very fair. You know, like, if I'd seen that and it was something that I was unhappy with, not that I would ever snoop in the first place in my kid's room and on their laptop, like, wow, what a breach of trust and privacy. But if I found something that I wasn't supposed to find, I would definitely want to speak with the child first and be like, hey, this is why this doesn't sit right with me. This is why it makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. I can understand the discomfort as a parent as well, especially because, so I'm saying, like, I feel like OP here is thinking about it from their point of view. Something really major or really dark might have happened. There might be a lot of trauma between those two parents. And I think it's really kind that they come together to celebrate you. Lots of divorced parents don't do that, but especially if it's tricky for them because of how bad things have been in the past, I can totally understand why that might be difficult, let alone feeling like you have to be in one photo. And stumbling across a photo where this like perfect family moment of mum, dad, and kid is supposed to be there, like, that would make me uncomfortable too. It's all about consent, right? Like, if you don't consent to be in the photos, why are you then making these photos? And also, where do you plan on putting these photos? If the kid just wanted it for themselves, I would question why you want it so much. I would probably explain why it's so uncomfortable as the parents that the child is wanting that from their point of view. I feel like a 16-year-old would definitely have, you know, the capacity to understand that sort of thing at that age. And honestly, it is totally underestimated how valuable it can be to just share your point of view. But if OP just wanted that for themselves to have in their case, I would maybe be like more understanding. I'd still be very confused, but more understanding. What would like stress me out the most is coming across this and be like, well, where are you going to put it? Are you going to put it online? Are you going to put it out there for other people to see? Because that's not an odd thing to assume about photos, and I would be uncomfortable too if I was in either parent's position. So yes, that's why I think dad sucks, but also OP, because you're not getting consent for creating this, and you didn't ask him where are you putting these photos, you know? I don't think the friend sucks here, to be honest. I think they were offering something nice for their friend, and also, you know, like wanting to practice out of it, like whatever. But I also think that the step parent here sucks, because that's not the kind of comment that you need, and the reason for it, for not having the photos, shouldn't be, oh, but you're going to piss off stepmom, and you're going to piss off stepdad, you're going to disrespect the families. It's got nothing to do with them. It's got to do with the people in the photo, and to me, it's mum and dad. They don't want to be together in a photo. You can't force people to be together in a photo. Simple as that. Ooh, I still feel very strong with my conviction, but I'm really interested to hear what other people have to say. Not the asshole. Sorry, kiddo, keep your head down for a couple of years, get out as soon as you can. Do neither of these assholes give a shit about what you, the child, thinks? Jesus Christ, these two are some work. They're forcing new families on you without acknowledging the one that actually brought you into the world. This is their hang up, not yours, and it's not like you had the photos blown up into poster size whilst loudly declaring that none of your step family matters to you. Dad went into your room, into your laptop, and found something he shouldn't have been snooping for. I agree about that last point about the snooping. I also agree that it doesn't mean, you know, wanting that photo doesn't mean that your step family doesn't matter to you. That correlation is weird and not true and not something that you should have blame for. But I do disagree that the new families were forced on you, because just as a matter of principle, like, people who break up but have kids are entitled to find new love and make new families as long as it's being done in a healthy way. I don't think it's fair at all to be like, oh, well, the kid can veto the family, because otherwise parents with kids will never be able to find new love, and really kids should not be having that input on who parents make new partners with if everything is healthy. That's an important point. And I also just don't agree about the whole, like, don't they give a shit about what you think as the child, because I feel like OP's not really taking any consideration as to what the parents think. This is clearly a multiple time thing that you've asked. They've clearly demonstrated discomfort multiple times, and OP's like, yeah, but this is what I want with the photos. I don't know. I'm surprised by that. Not the arsehole. And that said, as a person whose father is on his fourth wife, so I have 2 ex-stepmums and 2 ex-step-siblings, I have plenty of photos with people I don't know anymore and that can't really be shown around the house because it includes an ex-wife. It's not unreasonable request at all to someone who wants one photo with just your bio parents. Interesting. I do think though that this again is coming from someone else's point of view, where they've had 4 different people and so many different people in their lives. For OP here, the family seem pretty well established, right? The same people have been in their lives since they were 8 and 9, they're now 16. And again, even if you wanted photos with just your OG parent, totally fine. Have one with mum, have one with dad. You don't need one together if it makes mum and dad uncomfortable. I don't understand this request still, you know? I don't understand how that conclusion jumps from not having a photo that involves extra members of the family to requesting 2 people who are clearly very uncomfortable being together being put together. Not the arsehole. It's great that your friend was able to do this for you. I think most people like a picture or 2 of a determined group for whatever reason, and a picture of you and the 2 people you came from makes perfect sense to me. I seem to be in a minority here. There doesn't seem to be many comments on the forum, but what do you think, Peaches? I, again, still stand strong with my conviction. But it's so interesting. It's very rare that I feel so strong and also very confused at the response of others at the same time. Let me know what you think. Just remember to be kind downstairs in the comments section. We don't want any toxic Peaches here. Alright, should we move on to another? Am I the arsehole for not following my friend when she was kicked out of a concert? Earlier this year, I gifted my at the time boyfriend tickets to see one of our favourite bands together live. Needless to say, we're broken up since then. Now with an extra ticket I didn't need, I made a social media post asking if anyone wanted to see the show with me, saying that they don't have to pay me back for the ticket, I just didn't want it to go to waste. It was kind of a shot in the dark since the band isn't too popular, but one of my friends said she'd love to come with me despite not knowing the band because she was looking for new music to listen to. It's very cute, increasing new horizons in terms of music. Shameless plug. Oh. When we got to the venue, it was made very clear that the band had a very strict no recording or photography during the show rule. There were signs posted everywhere, and one of the venue staff even made an announcement on stage right before the show started that filming or taking photos was absolutely prohibited, and anyone caught using a phone or camera during the performance would be ejected from the venue. Get out of here. I understand where this is going. I don't usually like to take photos or videos during a concert anyway, so this rule didn't really affect me. About halfway through the show, my friend whips out her phone and starts recording. We were right at the front, so obviously this caught the attention of the security guard, and he approached her and told her that she needed to leave. I wasn't really listening to the conversation because I really just wanted to enjoy the show without distractions, but I could tell she was kind of arguing with him. When she finally stopped putting up a fight and agreed to leave, the guard turned to me and said, "Are you all together?" Oh my god, I would be pooing myself! And I shrugged and said, "No, we're not." Fair. You know what? fair. When I got home that night, my phone had been blowing up with texts from her saying that I was a horrible friend for not standing up for her and abandoning her like that. Honestly, I don't think there was anything to stand up for. If she hadn't done anything wrong, that'd be one thing, but it was made very clear that filming would result in removal, so I'm not sure what she expected would happen when she started filming. I could have just resold the ticket to an actual fan, but I gave it to her without expecting reimbursement because of her interest in discovering new bands, and I wasn't going to miss a concert that I paid for and spent months looking forward to because she couldn't follow a simple rule. It also feels worth mentioning that we both had driven to the venue separately and met up there, so it's not like I left her without any way of getting home. Still, she's really mad at me and said that I betrayed her. Am I the arsehole? No, I don't think you're the asshole at all. Your friend did something wrong. As you said, you were there to enjoy the band. She did it wrong, especially because you came in different cars. Like, you travelled there separately. I really don't think you did something wrong at all. I think it's really mean of the friend to expect you to have left at the same time when the security guard's asking such a question. If I was, like, having this and, like, being made to leave, like, if I was a friend in this situation and the security guard went, are you together? I would have been like, look, we know each other, but they weren't filming. I was. I'll leave. They can stay. That wasn't them. You know, that would be the right thing to do. And if I was the friend in this situation, I would not feel any specific bad kind of way if someone was just like, no, we're not together. Because that would have resulted in them being kicked out of the concert, and they clearly don't deserve to because I was the one filming, you know? So, yeah. Very strong with that conviction. Not the asshole, it's very black and white, the rules are clear, she broke them and paid the consequences. So sad, too bad. I love that. So sad, too bad. I might steal that going forward. Not the asshole, other people shouldn't have to pay for her inability to follow simple rules. Not the asshole, FAFO. FAFO? FAFO? FAFO. Glad you got to enjoy the concert. What is FAFO? I'm old. I don't understand internet vernacular anymore. FAFO. Oh, around and find out. Oh, the form is spicy today. That's brilliant. FAFO. Every day's school day. And you, my love, are not the asshole. I hope you enjoyed the concert, and I'm sorry your friend was such a poop. Alright, am I the asshole for not lending my parents money after a string of bad luck? My parents were quite successful in their life, and they managed to retire early with quite a sizable nest egg, enough to provide for themselves even well beyond their lifetime, and they're in their late 50s. Unfortunately, they got into a string of bad luck. They got into a nasty civil lawsuit, they had to spend a ton of money on legal fees, and around the same time my mum got scammed by her investment advisor. And they basically lost all of their liquid assets within a year. That sucks. I'm very sorry for your parents. It's worth noting that despite losing all of their cash, they still had quite a sizable real estate portfolio. Well, okay then. I still feel bad for your parents, but it's good that they have safety nets, right? This is where the problem starts, says OP. Their reaction to the tragedy wasn't how they can try and live comfortably with what they have, but how they can gain back all the money that was gone. This does sound like a problem. This led to them making questionable long-term investments as unlikely to pay off anytime soon. They also refused to sell any of their real estate asset because of the current market condition. They want to wait until they can sell at a higher price. As a result, they've been borrowing money from me to cover their daily expenses with the promise of returning that money to me once they are able to sell their assets so they don't have to sell at a loss. Now, no, this doesn't sit right. Okay, the reason that you have these safety nets is not so that if your first thing is gone, you immediately go to other family members and put them out. The reason you have safety nets, and particularly like real estate portfolios, from my understanding of investments, is that if you need to use them, you need to use them. I get it. It's not wonderful to sell at a loss. At the same time, if you don't have the money right now, because this is gone, use it. I can understand why selling at a loss as well might sound scary to people who aren't aware of like going through house purchases, but you can sell at a loss and still liquidate a lot of money. So in these situations, that's why you invest. It feels very sketchy to me that the parents are doing this. It feels very blinkered and like they're trying to get back to what they were instead of realizing what they have. Let's read on. I just feel it's unfair for them to treat me as their bank, especially because it's not like they don't have money, they just choose not to liquidate it. At the same time, I do feel like a hypocrite because I do have the money, and in a way I'm hoarding money too when it can be used to help them. That's what the parents are doing though. Right, your parents are also hoarding the money too when they could be using it themselves and not putting you out. However, it got to a point where I do feel like they're fully relying on me and not making any positive progress to recover from the situation. That's a problem. That is a problem. I think like great, help someone out, especially if you're in the position to help someone out. But from what it sounds like, if somebody has no intentions of making their own money moves and are just being super comfortable relying on you and aren't looking in any way to resolve that and relieve this additional burden on you that was only meant to be temporary, that would be a problem for me too. I understand. I finally put my feet down and I told my parents that I won't lend them money any longer, and they can't comprehend why I wouldn't help them when I could. Am I the asshole? No, I don't think you're the asshole. Investments are tricky. Helping loved ones with money is tricky. And at the end of the day, if you're helping someone, I feel like your parents have lost sight of the fact that you are helping them. I feel like they're just sort of assuming that they can rely on you as they make even more money than the already privileged position that they are in with the real estate. I get it. It sucks to lose money. And what I don't like seeing, because I can inevitably see in the forum, people are going to be like, oh, well, they have a real estate portfolio. They should be lucky, la-di-da-di-da. This is true. At the same time, people live within their means. So, you know, we don't know the context of that. And I totally appreciate if you have a real estate portfolio, you probably also have a lot of costs to maintain that sort of lifestyle that you have created. But it doesn't mean that you don't use your own safety net of the real estate portfolio and instead go to other people to cover your expenses. That's not okay. And for them to say they don't understand, at least they're not shouting at you being like, how dare you? Maybe it's just a communication issue, but I don't think you're the arsehole for wanting to stop it. So no, not the arsehole. Let's see what the forum has to say. Not the arsehole. It's strange that they're using you like a bank. I feel like they could use an actual bank if they had to. They have a lot of options and I would stick to your guns. That is such a good point as well. If you have all of this equity, you have all of this assets, you could totally get a loan out. And I get it. Maybe you don't want to if, you know, if your family has means or your loved ones have means and are able to give it to you, but like I really think the big problem is when you start to rely on people permanently and don't appreciate the help that they're giving you and the fact that that is a temporary measure, not something to grow really comfortable with over a long period of time, you know? Opie's actually said here, I guess with me it's an interest-free loan in this kind of rate environment, which I totally see the benefits of, but also it's a kid. Not the arsehole. They need to figure out their finances on their own, sell one of the properties and live off of those proceeds. Even if it's a loss, like a loss doesn't mean that they're like not going to have any money. It just means they won't be making as much money as they thought they would, but it's still a big savings nest egg that exists, right? I mean, that's why you invest, surely, so that you have money, so if things get tricky, you use your investments. Not the arsehole, let them handle their finances. Also, if they retired early, sounds like they could go back to work and make some of their own money back. Very good point. If you learn anything from your parents, it's that money slips out between your fingers in seconds without any warning. Very true. Wow, that felt like very fortune cookie, but in a great way. But yes, I'm in agreement here. Not the arsehole, my love. Alright, should we go fishing one more time today? Let's go. Am I the arsehole for not wanting to share an Airbnb with my boss? Ooh, intriguing. I'm a 23-year-old woman and I'm still newish to the professional world, so I just want some outside perspective on who's in the right here. I've worked with Kathy, a 40-something-year-old woman, for almost a year and I honestly like her. We get along and we've had no issues so far. In January, there's a popular conference with people in our industry. People from all over the state come, so accommodations fill up fast, which is why this conversation is happening now. Kathy and I are both going, sponsored by our company, and Kathy wants the two of us to stay in an Airbnb together, but I don't want to for a couple of reasons. Number one, I just think it's awkward to share an Airbnb with my boss. I don't know, I feel like so much more context is needed. I try and think back to the times where I wasn't working for myself and I had a job. In some cases I would share with other people. I would share a room, like I would share a bed, which bizarrely was actually something that was offered to me and I was like, no, I feel like this crosses a line. But if it's common practice that people sort of like stay in larger places and you have a room and your other boss person has a room and you're going there and coming back together, yeah, like, I don't see it as being that controversial. Like I wouldn't raise an eyebrow and be like, you did what with your boss? But again, very context dependent, right? Number two, says OP, this is an event that I've been to for several years prior with friends. My friends are going again this year and it can have a very party atmosphere to it. I swear. When people say work conferences, especially if you've been working at university like I have, these work conferences, very little work gets done. Sure, there's like a talk, but most of the time it's networking, which means socializing, which means drinking. So many people get so drunk, eat so much food, and don't really do much work. Like at all. This is not abnormal, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not a huge partier, but I like to have a few drinks at the after parties with friends, and I just don't know that I feel comfortable staying out late having drinks and then coming back to an Airbnb with my boss. Okay, I do think that's a bit different. If you're gonna go out and party, it's one of those conferences, then yeah, maybe you do just want to like stumble back in a bit of a drunken state and keep that real professional boundary there, you know? I'm not going to do anything wild or that would reflect badly on the company, but I do want to have fun where it's appropriate, and sharing accommodations with my boss just makes me feel awkward. The other thing that I think it would like stop you from being able to do as well is bring people back to your room. Again, really depends on the context, but like if I was in a hotel room, I get it as well, it's different. We do creator conferences where we also film with each other, and typically people film in their bedrooms. Like it's quite an intimate thing to do with other creators where it doesn't feel weird to bring people back to your room to eat pizza and chat and maybe film stuff, you know? Gosh, out of context that sounds quite dodge. But you know what I mean. As a creator, filming collabs in a hotel room is a relatively normal thing to do. And even away from content creation, like I can see it. If you're 23 and you're out with friends and you're like, hey, should we go grab something? We'll head home, bring a kebab, go on to Deliveroo, you know, talk about the conference, talk about whatever, just catch up from people who you might know but don't see because you're all coming from all over the world. Of course you want to maximize that time. And I would not feel comfortable bringing my friends back if my boss was also there. So yeah, I get it. I get why in this context you feel uncomfortable. I told Kathy yesterday that I'd feel more comfortable with my own hotel room for the conference and that I'd even be happy to pay out of pocket, and she said that's fine, but I could tell that she was offended and she's been noticeably colder to me ever since. That is a bit odd. Especially if you're saying like, I'll do it out of pocket, it's nothing to do with company money. Maybe, do you think the way that you said it like might have offended Kathy and she's feeling like it's something to do with her, but it's not to do with her, it's to do with maintaining professional boundaries? Do you know what I mean? But as a boss, I do think that's really odd if she's acting cold. OP says, I really think my position is reasonable, but if you'll tell me I was the arsehole, I'll go back and tell her that I changed my mind and I'm fine to share an Airbnb with her. There's also an edit here that OP's given us and said, we've been on other overnight trips before and we've always been given our own hotel rooms. Our company's very professional and definitely has the budget for everyone to get their own room, which is part of why it strikes me as odd. She's also always been very respectful of my privacy and what I do in my own time during these trips. Maybe it's because she's so respectful that she's like, oh, what is it that I could have possibly done to have made OP feel this way? But again, that's a her problem, not a you problem, and she, again, should not be acting cold towards you now for very kindly, understandably, and healthily explaining a boundary. So, no, not the arsehole. That is my verdict. Oh, so that's 3 not the arseholes, and 1 everybody sucks here so far. It's been a little while since we've had, like, an arsehole, right? But yes, I stand very firm in that conviction. I don't see why asking for your own hotel room, especially if budget allows for it, and especially if you have offered to do that of your own accord, should be anyone's, like any professional person's business. Not the arsehole. My wife goes on work trips 4 times a year and they always provide everyone with their own hotel room. Honestly, effed up that this was even offered in the first place and it's insanely unprofessional. I can see some context, right, in which that last sentence makes a lot of sense, but I can also see some context from smaller businesses or businesses which are maybe more casual in nature, you know, not law firms, not engineering firms. I can see academics doing this, for example, right, where they'd share a building, not a room. But I do respect where this is coming from. Not the arsehole, nothing wrong for wanting some privacy, but with the boss's reaction to your wanting your own accommodation, I can't help but wonder why. Was she looking for an opportunity to hook up with you? Ooh, didn't think that. But yeah, fair enough, a consideration. OP actually responded to this and said, I highly doubt it. She's never once put off that vibe to me. If anything, she sometimes puts off a mum vibe to me. Not in a weird way, but it's part of why I'd feel uncomfortable staying out late and having drinks and then coming back to a shared accommodation with her. Well, that I think makes so much sense, OP. I do think the Am I the Arsehole forum in particular can like very quickly jump to conclusions and be like, break up, it is this person's baby, they're wanting to hook up with you. Often that's not the case, but fair enough, like, to have it as a consideration. But I think what OP said there, especially about like the mum vibes, explains more so why you don't want to do it, but also explains more so why she might be feeling some kind of way. You clearly have like a more intimate relationship than something that's purely strictly professional. If she has like this mum vibe over you, she's probably feeling like some kind of way, like, why is it that she doesn't want to do this with me? We do this together, me and my little pet, you know? Which, again, probably a good idea that you're setting those professional work boundaries again, resetting them, just, you know, very clearly demonstrating where the line goes. Though, does this make me want to change my badge? In a tiny way, this makes me want to say no arseholes here. But no, I do think it's a not the arsehole, where Boss Kathy is like the tiny arsehole. Not for feeling the way that she's feeling, because fair enough, if she thought you had a relationship that was both friendly as well as professional, but for acting cold. That is not okay. I really hope though, like in the grand scheme of things, it seems quite small. And so I'm hoping that you're able to have healthy communication, healthy conversations, and just iron it out in a way that, you know, just isn't a big deal. She's not going to continue being cold to you. You're both going to have a wonderful time at the conference. She can continue to be all like mumsy at the work office if that's what you so desire, and everyone lives happily ever after. All right, my loves, what do you think? Do you agree with my badges? Let me know downstairs in the comments section. If you want to, you can get your fuzzy little butts over to your music platform of choice and type in Shaaba and listen to Little Doll Shoes or I Don't Like Me Either, or both if you're feeling so inclined. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll catch you next time with another video. Be kind and have a great day. Bye.